Good afternoon, everybody. We are here with Ryan Dawson, huge friend of the channel for many years. His link is at the top of the description box over on the YouTube version of this. Please support his work. As you guys know, from what we've done with him over the years, he's been shadow banned, completely banned, wiped off the face of the earth from many platforms, blacklisted, etc. And his support. His support is really important. He was the tip of the spear on the Jeffrey case with us, and we can't thank him enough, for all the hours he's put in on this channel. So huge thank you for joining us today, Ryan.
There's a Jeffrey map, or half of one you can see behind me, and Numek right below it, which is sort of the generation before old JE. Be careful what I say. We don't have free speech here.
Well, we've got a new subject to talk about. They haven't clamped down on it yet, and that is the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. I've been speaking to you, on Twitter about it. You said you've interviewed some people. You spoke to Scott Ritter, and that you've got a lot of information to talk about. So where would you like to start with that, Ryan?
I spoke with Ritter a couple days ago, and we did a show together, and I spoke with Larry Johnson also through Telegram. He agrees with what I'm about to say. So I guess we can walk through. Let's get the undeniables first. So step one, before you can find somebody to groom for an assassination, is you have to dehumanize the target. Or it certainly helps. You don't have to, but they clearly did that. The mass media has been calling Trump Adolf Hitler constantly, dehumanizing him. Biden called him an existential threat to America and his supporters. They twisted this speech he gave. I think he was in Ohio or something. He was talking about the car industry. He said it was going to be a bloodbath, meaning the economy of the car industry. It was clear that's what he's talking about. And Biden keeps repeating, it's like the Charlottesville myth, saying he says it's going to be a bloodbath, like another J6 with guns. So that's what happened first, is they demonized this guy since 2016, at least, constantly referring to him as Mr. Mustache, which is such a ridiculous comparison. Trump did not start any wars, much less kill millions of Europeans. So that went on first. And then you have a series of, I'd say, a cascade of failures. And I'll steal something from Scott Ritter's wife, actually coined this. He got Epsteined. And that's the style of murder where incompetence is the cover up. Oh, the cameras don't work, and oh, the doors just open, and everything went wrong, and the guards were asleep, and whatever. And his roommate was allegedly moved out and taken off suicide watch. All these things have to happen for this to happen. And this is what occurred on the 13th of July. You've got a Pac-Man shaped perimeter where, first of all, it is the Secret Service's duty to guard former presidents. Well, that's not all they guard, but that was added after somebody killed Bobby Kennedy. It is in their new statute, Title 18, Section 3056, parentheses A, if anybody wants to check that. They have to guard them. That is their responsibility. They cannot just abdicate to the local police that role and say, yeah, we have a perimeter, but it's going to have this big slice in it and only 150 yards away. Sorry, I'm American. We use yards. That's where it happened. I don't speak communist, so. But whatever that is in meters. So we say about Celsius. You know what C stands for? Kami. I know that one because I've been living in Japan and Korea. I'm just joking. But I'm going to use that because that's where it occurred in Pennsylvania. So it's not about, a football field and a half away. And that doesn't work either, does it? American football. It's very close. And the thing is, and AOC pointed this out, AR-15 range is within 400 to 600 yards. So why would the perimeter end at 150 to 200 yards? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you, and what is located there? Oh, just a rooftop. No big deal. If you're going to assassinate somebody with a rifle, you want the high ground. Why? You always check for open windows and rooftops, because if there's a large crowd, you have to be above the crowd so you can hit the target. You can't shoot through the crowd unless you're some Marvel superhero. So you have to look for high rises. Why would you secure an area and then leave a rooftop open? And I guess we can call her the former head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, said, well, it's sloped at the high point about 5 degrees. A sloped roof. What? No, I'm sorry. And that roof, it sloped like that, maybe. The other roofs that sniper teams were on, which you could see behind Trump, are sloped even more. That was such a canard. And when she says we, I want to know who. Of course, she didn't answer any questions. And this is the other part when how you tell something's a cover up. Just say you screwed up if it's incompetence. And some people get fired. You add suspicion when you won't answer any questions. And she's very careful with her language when they asked her, did you decide a third of the force would be female? No, I didn't decide that. That's true, because that would be 33%. She said 30%. You see how this is very Fauci-esque? We didn't give gain of function to Wuhan. We gave it to Echo Health, and they gave it to Wuhan. It's just parsing words, as Senator Paul said. The Cheadle got grilled, but every time they asked her a question, all right, well, who made that dumb decision to leave a rooftop open? Who decided the perimeter would stop it so close to the area? She couldn't answer. She said, well, I'll have to get back to you. Or she would say, we're going to wait for the FBI investigation. The same FBI that's been going after Trump this entire time. So that doesn't fly. Exiting out of Skype, sorry. And then at one point she said, well, it's a panel of people. So there's no accountability. Nobody's will step up and say who made what decision. So I did some digging. And it come to find out, these police departments, because there's more than one, they had Beaver County and Butler, that they're outsourcing to are the very same departments that when Trump supporters were being assaulted and beaten and harassed, they just sat there like, we don't see anything. And people would even post these clips on Twitter, hitting people with bottles and punching people and hitting them with flagpoles and things. And they don't do anything. They just, whatever, he's Hitler, right? That's what the media said. Just let it happen. So you have a series of screwed ups. First of all, they didn't do an advance. That is, if you're going to have the president or former president in an announced area for a speech or whatever, and it's outside, the Secret Service is supposed to surveil that area before he arrives, check it for everything, IEDs, whatever. And you're going to say, if he's going to be here on this stage, we have a perimeter, metal detectors and whatnot, to let the crowd come in, search bags, get rid of weapons and things. And you have to look at high rises. That's like first thing, like check off the top of the list. No rooftops, no open windows. Well, the rooftops behind them had counter sniper teams. There were some police on the ground. They did have a fenced perimeter, but they didn't really check bags very well from what I'm hearing, interviewing people who were there. They told them online when they got their ticket that you couldn't bring a bag, but then people did. And they just sort of, it was like going to Disney, just sort of, yeah, let them in. That wasn't taken seriously. They didn't check for when they bought it online, you scan your phone or something. No, I still let them in. It was ridiculous. And then they decided for some reason, oh yeah, there's a rooftop that overlooks the stage with a slope so someone could be on the back of it. It was a perfect place to be for a sniper. We're going to just sit inside the building instead. Now, there were windows on a building sort of behind and to the left of it, if you were facing it from where Trump was, that you could oversee that roof. And the cops, one of them's named Greg, we know from body cam, we know his first name, were in those windows and did see Thomas Crooks. The pictures of him with his gray shirt and his skinny arms come from the police photographing him. Now, here's where it gets so ridiculous. They knew he was a person of interest for hours. And it got real hot in the last 30 minutes. He's walking around with a rangefinder. No golf course anywhere, no golf clubs. And that's about the only two things you use a rangefinder is to see how far the golf hole is, or ball if you really missed it badly, or shooting stuff or people. That's it. You're not doing surveys or something. You're not landscaping. There is no reason. So you've got this 20-something-year-old incel with a rangefinder outside a Trump rally. That ought to be a lot of red flags. Because who does mass shootings? Almost exactly 20 to 22 years old. Looks like physiognomy's real. You know, they look like increpid incels every time. They're just some weird kids. And he's walking around with a backpack and a rangefinder and a shirt with a gun on it for a gun company. And they lost him. They took his photo. I said, I would like to know. And of course, Cheadle didn't answer. When did you communicate that, if at all, to the Secret Service? How did you lose him? You're looking at him through a window. Have a guy go talk to him. Why do you have a rangefinder? In fact, and here, if you did lose him and you were suspicious, then Trump can't go on the stage. If you can't apprehend the suspect or person of interest and there's a question mark at all, then the person you're protecting goes to a safe zone, whether that's the limo or they have staging areas where you can't get to him. You just stayed in that. They let him go. Let him talk. Nothing was done. And it gets more ridiculous from there. The cops that took his picture, had they just stayed where they were in those windows that overlooked the roof that he kind of shimmied or bear crawled up, he would have been right in front of them doing it. They would have seen him. They claim that they left their post to go down to look for him. And so when they leave is when he comes at the exact time. You know, when they go to look for this guy is when he goes up a ladder. He pre-positioned a gun, apparently, gets his gun and shimmies up, not too well because the roof was hot and this moron wore a t-shirt instead of long sleeves. So he keeps popping up. And then the crowd sees him. Some of them on the side of the building with the ladder saw him go up the ladder, saw him go on the roof, saw the whole thing, did interviews with BBC. Some of them on the opposite side, see him, don't see him go up the ladder, but they see him on the roof. They see him going up the roof to where he ended up shooting. And they're screaming for at least 90 seconds, a minute and a half minimal, because that's on film. And we don't know how long they were screaming before the film starts, but obviously some amount of time because they had to see if that's the whole reason they started filming. There's a guy on the roof with a gun. Officer, he's right there. Everybody else can see him. And the police are just standing there, looking at the clouds, looking at their phones. And you're like, wait, aren't you looking for this guy? Did the cops that say they saw him not tell the other police? You're all supposed to be looking for this guy with a rangefinder. You're supposed to tell the Secret Service, hey, we've got a suspicious dude with a rangefinder. This is what he's wearing. This is what he looks like. Long hair, gray t-shirt, shorts, black shoes, whatever. None of these things were followed. And this is why we talked about how he got Jeffrey'd. I think the reason the Secret Service abdicated their responsibilities to the local police, the same police that allowed Trump supporters to get beaten and whatnot, is to fail on purpose. Thomas Crooks knew exactly where to go. Either he had pre-positioned a ladder or they just gave it to him. And I want to say something. There are some photos of this tall ladder in the between the buildings with the little building. That is what the SWAT went up to go get his body. So that wasn't that obvious. But there was another ladder, and it's in ABC News and stuff, aerial photos. Elon Musk tweeted it. Not far from that one, kind of on this, looks like an AC unit, He climbed up on that roof and then went over to the next roof. All this time, people are watching him. And the cops say they left the windows and that's why they didn't see him. Say they photograph him and then they lost him in the crowd. You know, there's film of him just wandering around back and forth looking up because he needs to remember where he put his gun. Like where he probably had it in a case and left it on the roof. It was his dad's gun. I don't know if he zeroed it or his father zeroed it. I don't know how often his dad shoots with it. But if it's something that's just been sitting in the closet, he would have to zero the rifle too. Otherwise, it would be off. Now, he did have some training. He did, and you can wear glasses and still shoot a gun. Like if you practice with it, that's why they have scopes and different types of glass and iron sights and stuff. And from that distance, you really don't have to gauge for wind or anything. If he had just aimed center mass, he would have killed him. But he wanted to blow his head off on TV, and he came really close. This close. Clipped him in the top of the ear. They thought he hit his hand. They did not. He had just had blood on his hand from touching his ear. Same with this. This was from just that close. And if Trump had tilted his head that way, he's dead. That way, he's dead. It's either going to hit him in the front or the back of the head. It went right there. And he's not like Sunak. He doesn't have like Dumbo-sized ears. He was so close to death. That was a planned assassin. And then more information comes out. The guy surveilled the area with a drone. Secret Service didn't use any drones. Why? Police definitely didn't use a drone. But he had been to the site. He'd surveilled it with a drone, knew where the stage was going to be. Knew where he had been told to go. You're going to go here at this time. Don't worry. No one's looking. Go up the ladder, get up the roof. What if people point me out? We're just going to play stupid and act like we don't hear them for minutes. I'm sorry. And then the best part, and this is also on film, and this is a great, that in the age of cell phone, there's videos everywhere, and because they don't own Twitter anymore, you actually have a place to upload this stuff. It ends up like on Jimmy Dore's show and other things where a lot of the police that were on the side of the building where the ladder was, where he just went up, weren't next to the building. They're on the other side of a fence. And since all of them are fat and out of shape, instead of just climbing the fence, like not that athletic, you just go over, the fence is like 4 feet high. They all just stood around and had a truck like run into it a bunch of times, which still didn't knock it down. It just sort of made like a triangle hole. They crawl through that and start running and then start walking because like 11 steps, they're out of breath. It's insane. Then you see some of the Secret Service, which I'm sure was DEI agents that look like Rosie O'Donnell meets the Blues Brothers. About 5 feet tall, fat. There's no way they passed the Cunningham fitness exam that was instituted in the 80s for SS Secret Service. There's uniform Secret Service. No way. They're there because Cheadle decided we need 30% females in the Secret Service just because, I guess. And they definitely were physically not qualified to, and couldn't holster their guns. They just panicked. Couldn't cover the president. Even the woman that tried is just too small. Trump's a big guy. He's probably 6'4" with his shoes on. And that's a big man. Her head is like a whole head under his. He had a clear shot. Made great photo op. But if there was another sniper, he'd have been dead. And so would they. Because they sat on that stage for too long. The whole thing was unprofessional. The whole thing, and that's what we find out too. Trump's regular core detail, because where the Secret Service is, they have like an inner parameter, a mid, and an outer, which they left to the police. His inner circle had been removed. And he actually requested for more resources, which they said they gave him, and then they said, okay, we didn't give him. Jill Biden had an event in Pennsylvania, so some of it went to her. It's like, well, that's a what a coincidence. His regular details move. They said they're tired. Oh, he's not? Isn't he like 78? Come on, guys. They take them away. They didn't give him the B team. They gave him the C team. And they didn't do a sweep because the guy pre-positioned a gun and possibly a ladder. And you didn't find it. And it's it's on a roof, a white roof. Maybe he put it in a white case, but guys, it was sitting there waiting for him. Then there is some evidence, and this evidence is not solid yet, but based on ads data, which you can buy, somebody from very close to FBI offices in DC and another one that everyone knows about in New York visited this guy's work on the 4th and 8th of July. Now, Thomas Crooks worked basically cleaning dishes at a nursery home. Not the most glorious job on earth. I don't know why, unless you're elderly or an employee at a nursing home, you would need to go there. It's possible maybe you're the son or daughter of somebody at the home in Butler, Pennsylvania, and you come from New York. It's not impossible, but it's pretty implausible. And it's just it's like all these coincidences don't mean anything on their own, but it's when you add them all up, the odds of collusion are higher than the odds of all this degree of incompetency happening all at the same time. And there's some more, but if you want to ask anything, I've been talking the whole time. So
Ryan, please just talk at length. I won't interrupt you. We've had lots of questions and comments come in for you to comment on, but we'll get to that. Just take as much time as you want. We're early in the day for you. You've got all the time you want today.
Oh, it's like 9 p.m. here. But thank you for giving me a better time zone this time. I'm not doing it 4 a.m. I'm in Asia, everybody, if you're curious. In South Korea right now. We did a lot of shows from Japan, but yeah, it was just so unprofessional. And then you have the briefing. This is before the hearing. She meaning Kimberly Cheadle, only allowed 4 questions, 4 from Democrats, 1 from a Republican. And according to Jim Johnson, this is like school. You have to write your questions on a card and then submit it. So they can just ignore any hard ones. And they can also just make up a question and answer it because you don't know what everyone else wrote. It's a stupid thing. And so she got the questions that she wanted or wrote herself or whatever. And just gave all these non-answers. And they said, okay, what's the communication data? Give it to us. Who knew what when? How long was this guy a suspect? Did you communicate that with the Secret Service? Why, if you had this person wandering around the rangefinder, did you allow Trump to go onto the stage? There's no excuse. And when they say the excuse of the rationalization, well, we thought he was Secret Service. Secret Service thought he was a cop. No, he's not dressed in a police uniform. And first of all, you're supposed to have a color of the day. So all of you recognize that. Secondly, you're supposed to have multi-com links. So that means you can all talk to each other. And if there's any question and someone's on the roof, you just, who's on the roof? If he doesn't answer because he's not supposed to be there and doesn't have a com link to answer on, you shoot him. That's it. That wasn't done. You don't have to get up there and grab him. And all you have to do is, if he's not one of ours, kill him. That's it. That wasn't done, but they want to know, and they wanted to know who made this decision, who determined the parameter, who decided not to go on the roof because you thought it was sloped. Why did they leave the windows? Why did all of them leave the windows? Not one. Why didn't you just radio somebody who's already on the ground to look for him because you have this important position of the window, which oversees the only roof? It doesn't make any sense. And it was the perfect spot for him to be in because none of the cops could see him. Apparently, he had an invisible ladder and an invisible gun, and no one could hear when everyone's yelling at this guy on the roof with a gun. But there was a tree blocking one of the sniper teams. The other sniper team was guarding, like facing the other way, guarding that. And they turned around. They heard the gunfire. And apparently they pegged him in one shot. It was not the team behind Trump that you see that kind of pulls down. They didn't get him. It was the other sniper team that wasn't blocked by a tree, that was further away, that glassed him right through the mouth, which is shooting center mass because he's laying down like this. And probably all you could see was his scope and the top of his head. And I guess he looked up, because when you're looking through a scope, this is for the non-Americans that don't know anything about guns, but you can see really close, but it's a small window. And so if you move like this much, it goes, maybe you've done that with a camera. If you ever zoom all the way in to try to see something, and if you move it all, you're way off. So sometimes you look without it and then look back down, whatever. His mouth went above because they shot him right through the teeth. That takes out the spinal cord. You're dead. That is what a Secret Service sniper can do. But the other team, there was an obstruction. I mean, it was the perfect place for him to be. And he should have been. I mean, he did hit him. This was a well-planned assassination. It was just by dumb luck, chance, guardian angel, whatever, that Trump he went off script, as he does. He had a chart about illegal immigration that he wanted to point to. So he turned to look at it to say, look at he was explaining how they all flooded when Biden. And that is the exact moment where he turned and got clipped in the ear. If he didn't get hit in the ear, if he had just missed, he might not have reacted. He might not have ducked. And the next one would have got him in between the eyes. It's the only thing possible. It hit him, but only in the ear. The only place you can get shot at that distance and live, maybe the hair. And so and then he hit the deck. And there were two shots after he ducked that went right over everyone's backs. And one of them, unfortunately, hit somebody in the abdomen. And they did kill Mr. Corey, who was shielding his daughter. And this is an amazing thing too. And this is how a lot of Southerners, but also Kentucky, Pennsylvania, I'd include them, are. When someone's shooting, instead of stampeding and running away and screaming, they protect their kids, and the other ones jump up and start pointing at the shooter. There he is, kill him. Like, they sat there around Trump waiting to see if he was okay and protecting their own. But they didn't give any ground to run. They were like, we got to stay here. And there were people, when someone got shot right next to them, instead of going, and running away, they're like, medic, this one's been hit here. This one's been hit here. All helping each other. This is built different. These people, they're just in a shooting and they're like, whatever. You know, they're like, let's just help the ones that get shot and kill the killer. And that's that. But then there were some further mistakes, though, because you would think after they got Trump out of there, they got him in the bulletproof limo, and he's out of there, or SUV, excuse me. What should they have done? And Ritter pointed this: how many people had cell phones? I'm going to go with all of them, except some of the kids, maybe. That's a great way to collect data. Who was filming Trump, and anything that we could use, audio we could use even of shots, or anybody filmed this guy on accidents. We know his whereabouts, anything. They just let him go home. And they're like, the people in the bleachers, especially, those are eyewitnesses. And they're on film. They're an eyewitness. Look at that woman. Look at that guy. You know what they're wearing. You know everything because they're on camera. And you can see them filming. And they should have asked, what do you got? Mail it to yourself or whatever, and then give it to us. Like, that wasn't done. They didn't collect evidence. They started power washing the roof, which is a crime scene. And there's photos of that because of Trump supporters did the real journalism. The real investigation was by regular citizens filming things and putting it on Twitter or Rumble or whatever, or Truth Social, which is like Trump's Twitter. They did it. And that is why when they finally go to talk before Congress, they actually had some good questions because it was all over social media. Say this, say this, say this. And it's pretty bad when AOC says, well, if a AR-15, which is the most popular type of rifle used in mass shootings, can shoot at a distance of 400 to 600 yards, did you decide that the perimeter would end before 150 yards? Why? And if it did end there, and there's a rooftop that overlooks the stage protected by trees and things, why didn't you have someone up there? Oh, we did. We had them on the windows overlooking it. Well, they left conveniently at the right time. This is the guards fell asleep and the camera doesn't work moment. And I don't think it gets worse than people yelling, there's a guy on the roof with a gun, officer, and they're just, it was on purpose. And then they questioned them. The police got questioned yesterday and today, and Cheadle, who's resigned now or is resigning, she did a briefing. She did interviews with the media where she gave them the most info. That's where we get this stupid slope roof thing. And then she was very carefully managed. And now 9 days have passed before she gets questioned. She did not give them any of the information they requested. A congressman from South Carolina basically put her head on a pike, said this is BS, which you never hear that language in that building, but she called it for what it was. And I think the resignation is a stunt to stall. They can't give them the communications. They can't give them the plan of action. They can't. This is so damning if they give that over. And then the police get questioned, and they did try to answer some of it, but they made it worse. Well, why did you leave the window? That would have been right behind what we were looking for. So instead of looking from them through the window that could above everything, you're going to go down. It didn't make any sense. It's such a Barney Fiefdom type of thing. But that's their best defense is just, we're just a bunch of bumbling idiots that ram trucks into fences instead of hopping them over them. And somehow we couldn't find the ladder that there's a receipt for at Home Depot, and it's on freaking video. There's 2 ladders, but they said what ladder? It wasn't used because we didn't find one. That's because you can't explain how someone would walk up. I don't care if the ladder is 10 feet, 5 feet, whatever. You can't just, hey, here I am with a gun and a ladder, or even you pre-position the gun, but a rangefinder and a ladder and just la-di-da. Yeah, I'm just, at a Trump rally. What would you need a ladder for? I don't know, to go on a roof and shoot them. Unbelievable. They said, what ladder? I'm like, okay, you're covering up the fact that it is impossible to not see that. But the thing is, witnesses saw it. They saw him go up a ladder, so there was a ladder, and it's on film. They saw it. They saw him go up on the roof. They saw him shimmy into position. And he didn't do it. Wasn't like this happened and he just 10 seconds like a cartoon character. It took him a while. And nothing was done. So I conclude that level of incompetence was intentional. We call it planned incompetence or, purposeful. That is a cover up. And that is what they need to get to the bottom of. And they need to know who made each decisions, because it's hard to prove that someone isn't just that stupid. That's why they do it. It's kind of like the internal emails during the subprime mortgage crisis when they had collateralized debt obligations, but it was all subprime and they knew it, and they had AAA ratings and stuff that they had bribed the rating agencies. They're just like, look at this piece of S I just sold to so-and-so, ha ha ha. And they just claim, oh, I'm just really bad at my job. Now, a cop can always say, people were yelling and pointing and it's on film. I just suck at my job. You can always say that. But what you go, okay, let's say you're Kamala Harris level retarded. Fine. Then you're fired. So I want to know who made all these decisions. And Cheadle was not giving us that information. So when they have that information, at least people will get replaced. At minimal, I'm like, okay, if this wasn't on purpose and you are really this clueless to leave a rooftop wide open, overseeing the stage where Trump is speaking. You're gone. You're gone. And and you know what though? That's really not the police's job. Most police are road pirates. They give speeding tickets and parking lot tickets, and they sit in their car and watch for stuff. Some of them go out on the calls for domestic abuse, which is almost always alcohol, but they're really not in. This isn't the TV. Okay, cops don't sit and protect someone like the Secret Service does. They're not trained for it, and that's why they're extra. They should have had the duty of man the metal detectors, just be seen, intimidate, just be around, extra set of eyeballs. But you don't need SWAT sniper. You need the Secret Service. The people that's all they do is protect people all day, every day. The advance failed. The perimeter was screwed up. They didn't have the right comm links. Nothing adds up. Like what mistake did you miss? You made them all. That's what it seems like. And I don't buy it at all. And when I said, okay, but I'm going to reserve judgment. Maybe they're that stupid. Maybe they hire, all these equity hires and stuff. Nothing works. As soon as I saw Cheadle dodging answers, I knew. And this was predictable. Tucker predicted it. Many people predicted it. I sat down with two very prominent people. I won't name them. And we had a nice discussion right after I saw you. And I said, they're going to kill him because there's no way. And this is when Biden was still in the race. And it's not like Kamala's much different. She got an IQ of a stump. Joe Biden's asleep. He's too old. He's got dementia. We've known that forever. And he's just staring off the space, making up words. And, and it's not like he's not Bush Jr. He wasn't always like that. There's been some cognitive decline. He used to be way better at lying than now, because that's what he used to do when he came out of his mouth. He just lie. So I had that Biden crime syndicate, but he's just up there. There's no way he can beat Donald Trump. And then this was before the debate. The debate was an absolute train wreck. I would put it right below the Prince Andrew interview, because nothing will top that. That was the best unintentional comedy ever. When he got asked about Jeffrey and how I had to go. It was so bad that either he's that dumb or he's so smart. He's like, just don't ever ask me about this. This is all you're going to get out of me. I'm going to make it so dumb that you just never bother with it again. But I mean, he did settle that he had to pay, and he is guilty. So I mean, he was photographed in the house of Jeffrey's girlfriend with a 17-year-old, who he had illegally given alcohol to. That's number one, but this is next. I mean, it was bad. And the slope thing, it just, the memes alone. Oh, well, I'll bed proof my house. I'll put a ramp at 3 degrees. They can't walk on that. I'm like, is that all you could come up with? Why was no one on the roof? We thought it was a danger to our personnel. You're cops. You're Secret Service. You can walk on a roof with this much slope. It wasn't raining or anything. It was no hurricane or that. They don't have an excuse for that. The best thing they're going to be able to say is, we're really incompetent. That's the best. And you know what? No one and I've been talking to people in intelligence. I had family in the Uniformed Secret Service, no longer with us, but I've had many discussions. That would never have happened before. It's a joke. If you're a JFK researcher, I mean, we remember Fletcher Prowley's characters in the movie JFK goes, there never would have been open windows on the 6th floor. It wouldn't have been allowed. Like, yeah, of course. They knew that in the 60s. Now with drones and everything else, it's much more complicated. You didn't surveil the area. Why? Because he wanted him dead. You think he's Hitler? I'll take the questions before I'll get going and going. I would like everybody to watch the Cheadle. Watch her non-answers, and she's so careful with her words. They would ask her a broad question, and then she would answer with a very specific narration. No, I haven't with this, that, all these prepositions. Like, it's not what I asked you, and you know it. She's out. Who knows who will come in? It's so bad.
Ryan just said he'll take questions, otherwise he might get going and going. Put a 1 in the chat if you want to see Ryan going and going. Put a 2
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean, I
chat
don't mind.
if you don't want to
One
see
time
Ryan
you asked
going
me
and
about the
going.
Jeffrey case, and I talked for 2.5 hours. Because I've been following that around since about 2007, and I've been just dying to tell somebody all the stuff I knew, and because there was nowhere to go. You know, I was banned on everything, and people would steal my work. But yeah, I mean, it was a complicated ring, and I can't really say because we're on YouTube, but you know, that involved government, and we know
They're all
which
saying,
ones.
keep going, Ryan. Don't stop for questions yet.
Oh yeah, so let's debunk some stuff too. There are people doing the Alex Jonesism, and I don't know if it's to troll him or if they're sincere, or they think it's like ketchup and crisis actors. Shut up. A man died. 2 were injured. Trump definitely. This was a real shooting. So anyone saying that, and I understand that you've been gaslit so bad that you're like, I don't know. They could fake it because they lie about everything else. I understand. But look, a lot of people have looked at this that, you know, are not. I don't shy from conspiracy. I don't look at my wall. I don't I'm not dismissive of stuff like that. I know how much the government lies. And they have staged events like this Saddam statue toppling. I mean, they did topple the statue, but it wasn't the Iraqis that did that. That was Ahmed Shalabi and a bunch of goons that they brought in. They had armored vehicles blocking all the entrances of the park, and they pulled the statue down and hit it with shoes. And they're like, look, they're glad we're here. That whole thing was contrived. So there's an example of a totally staged event by the government, and it fell apart within minutes too because of antiwar.com. People who had aerial photos that could show this is a tiny crowd. So I know things like that happen, but this is not crisis actors. This is not pro wrestling, although it was fun to see the Hulkster get up there, brother, and start tearing his tank top in half. And we're right there with what's his Macho Kumacho Mountain Dew from Idiocracy. He's like, we're gonna make the grass grow again. It's got electrolytes. But and I love Hulk Hogan. I've met him as a big dude. He's like 70 now. It was fun to see that, and that is in predetermined sport. But this was a real shooting. There have been some talk about multiple shooters and stuff with somebody on the water tower, with somebody that, and which is all great. It's work. You can't just not ask. Like, go ahead, ask the questions. Let's look at it. Looked at it. If there was more than one shooter, why did it all stop when he got hit? Once Crooks was dead, they don't have a way to communicate with each other, no radio or anything on them. And they all go, oh, everybody stop shooting. Well, if your goal is to kill the president, you had plenty of time to keep shooting because you sat there doing this and you just decided not to do it. No. The other myth is there were 3 sets of bleachers, 2 like this, 1 in the middle. And what they did is people in the corners of the 2, the far left and the far right, got hit, which is all in a straight line with Crooks. But if you zoom in on it, it just looks like the corner of a bleacher. Well, they moved that over to the middle one, which it wasn't, and act like, oh, look, this is, then you got 2 lines, you know. That's not where they were hit. They were hit there, they were hit there, and Trump's in the middle. It's all a straight line. I made a video about it. The acoustic stuff is you are hearing popping sounds because where the gun is shot from is where it goes kapow. What you're hearing from a camera is whatever that camera mic is near, which is just the bullet zipping through the air. And they do make little sonic booms, and it sounds a little bit like fireworks. Pop, 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 pop. It goes above the range. You can't hear the cacao because that when they do that in Hollywood, it's fake. But if you've ever really shot a gun near a mic, which a lot of Americans have because it's legal, you know that tap, 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 tap. That's all you hear from film. If you're standing there, you definitely hear it. And that's why everybody, they look, there's somebody shooting on the roof. And there were shots fired behind him because 1 sniper got him and 1 missed. So you do have 3 guns at least. you could have more because each sniper team has 2 people, but it doesn't look like this guy fired, and the other one glassed him. So he said today that he saw him through the scope, which is amazing because it's like 6 seconds after the shot, 6, 7 seconds, and he boom shot him fast. And I'm wondering, were you kind of looking that direction anyway? Or would you wait to see Trump fell down? Now I can kill the guy. Like, I don't know. But it looked like Trump went down. Now shut him up, shoot him right in the mouth. That's sort of a sign of keep your mouth shut. So it's a really good shot, or he was just sitting there waiting. I don't know. Because it could be both. But it is, again, it's all these coincidences lining up. But God, then you go through, oh, yeah, his social media has been wiped. And he's got encrypted phones. I want to say something to that because I think that boomers don't get this. When they're like, oh, this guy's a professional, he had a drone. My kids have drones. One of them's 6. He could do that. He's a smart 6-year-old, but they have drones, $300. They have drone school in Korea because of the, I don't know if you know about the balloon wars that are going on with the North, but they, you can have a drone where if you even let go of the joysticks, it'll just hover in place. It's not that impressive to fly a drone up and look down. You don't have to be a pro. The encryption stuff is, it's been said wrong. They're saying it could be Iran. It's not Iran. Trump did kill Soleimani. Iran did it. This is more Secret Service. Yeah. Oh, it's Iran. Maybe it's the Chinese, whatever. He's got foreign servers and encrypted. It sounds very cool. Encryption. Foreign. He did not have foreign accounts. He had accounts on foreign servers. That's very different. Do you have a Telegram? Oh, that's a foreign server. Do you have a Signal? That's a foreign server. Do you have Line? That's a foreign server. I mean, I live in a foreign country, but I have a lot of servers that are not in Korea or the United States. It's very, do you have a Discord? That's encrypted, technically, not very well, but there is encryption and Signal's encrypted, and all, that's not a big deal. And so, like, we got to crack his phone. Come on, dude, that's easy. you just call Google or Apple and they'll do it. He just shot at the president, or did shoot the president. So that's not a big thing. But the fact that it was wiped and he has more than one phone. So this guy was conscious of the fact that they're going to dig through all my stuff, or whoever set him up to be a fall guy knows, don't make the same mistake we did in Buffalo, where we had a Discord group where it was just the shooter and a bunch of spooks. Is that's what happened. There was a guy that shot people. I don't like saying their names because I think part of the reason these incels do it is to the infamy. So we'll just call him Knucklehead 1. Shot people in Buffalo, New York. And on his gun, he had the names of victims that another knucklehead had run over with an SUV at a Christmas parade. Just a racist act, reacting to how the mass media portrayed the Rittenhouse acquittal. Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 felons who had attacked him, like at arm's length. They were in his face. One had hit him with a skateboard. He got acquitted. He did not shoot any blacks or minorities. That was reported on Twitter, and this is unbelievable. At that time, this is pre-Elon, you could not correctly say Kyle did not shoot minorities. He is not a white supremacist. He's not any of the stuff they're saying. And even after he's on this long televised trial, people still thought he just went to a rally and started randomly shooting black people. It never happened. It's so far from the truth. But a guy reacting to that decided to run over some white kids at a Christmas parade and was promptly arrested and in prison. He did some goofy stuff in the court, like stacking up boxes and hiding behind them. Very much like Jeffrey's girlfriend. Yeah, she pulled a stunt like that. So this guy reacting to that, and probably mental. He's on a thing called Discord, which I think it's mostly for gamers or whatever, but you can have a Discord about whatever. And it's just edgelord, total cesspool. I'm not allowed on it because I'm not allowed on anything, but I had one briefly. It's not a big deal, but you can make rooms in there. And so some of these prior shooters have been groomed by federal agents on these apps. Yeah, do it. Yeah. And they do it for the infamy. They leave little cards. Crooks, I'm saying his name, as everybody knows. The guy that shot Donald Trump and Corey looked up a previous shooter who actually didn't die. They usually kill themselves or get killed by cops. He actually got arrested, and so did his parents. So that's one of the things he looked up. He looked up a previous mass shooter. And they're all saying, we don't know his motivation. We don't know if it was political. I'm like, I can tell you his motivation. If he's looking up prior mass shooters. This is a 20-year-old loser who looked like he was 13 even when he graduated high school. I'm sorry, but he was, he was not a pretty man. He fell out of the ugly tree and he hit every branch on the way down. Let's put it that way. He looked like just an insipid, androgynous dork. He went to community college and graduates and gets a job washing dishes at a nursing home at 20 years old. Definitely never had a girlfriend. Probably didn't have much way friends. He hates his life. That is exactly who the feds are going to hone in on and go, he'll do it. And it takes a little encouragement. And maybe they wised up and say, let's not do this electronically, because that's how we got caught in the past. We'll meet up. We'll encourage him. Maybe even trained him. He'd go in the rifle range. He knew what to do. He knew where to go. He just didn't know to wear a long sleeve shirt. The roof was white, but I don't care. It's July. It was metal. I bet it was hot. And you can see him getting up like that. I hope you had a lot of pain because you killed an innocent person and you shot a couple of there. The other two people, I'm happy to say, are recovering who he hit. It could have been worse. He could have killed kids. He could have killed the president, which would have started a civil war. And this is what brings me to the greater plot. I think, and I am not alone, Biden was on his way out. Like they already decided after that debate to say he has COVID, which is poetic, something. Have him write a letter or write it for him, sign it for him, AI's voice, whatever you got to do. Get rid of him. Kamala's in. She's our girl. They were going to get rid of Biden and Trump. And they wanted to blow his head off on TV. And it gets real sinister. It didn't work. And now they're getting grilled. And they basically nearly assured Trump not only wins, but MAGA Republicans are going to win seats. Whoever he's the kingmaker. You get to Congress, you get to be governor, you get to do this, because it's not going to be these Republican AIPAC shills, whatever. It's going to be the MAGA AIPAC shills who are better on certain issues. I don't know if I can say what they are, but the thing, the other war in the North, right? Like that one. Trump doesn't want to do it. This is the one Kamala said is the bigger country, and the one next to it is the smaller country. She just says stuff like the bus goes that way and then it goes this way. And she will get asked a question. She will say a sentence. 5 different ways of saying the same thing, total non-answer, and then start cackling like a hyena. Now, I know there was a poll in like Rutgers or something that said, oh, look, she's up by 2 points. Then you go in the article and read, it goes, an online poll that asked 1,200 people. I could do that on Twitter. That's not a real poll. Whatever. She is totally unelectable, but she couldn't win a primary. So they had Biden already win the primary and then abdicate to her. She couldn't even win her home state. And it really does show how unimportant the president and vice president are, because he's been out of it for years. Just give him an ice cream cone, tell him to walk that way, whatever. He's shaking hands with invisible people. Like maybe it was John Cena. No one can see him. I don't know. He starts walking the wrong way off the stage. One time he just started walking off in a field. I'm like, let him go. Let's see what happens. See where he goes. If you got like how long it'll take him. It's elderly abuse, really. And then Kamala's just, she can't. She's so hateable. Worse than Hillary. I don't know. She's bad. She's so bad. And they're not making decisions. So who has been running the government? Anthony Blinken and company. That's as close as I can say on YouTube. That's who's been running the government. Of course, they're having, I can't say that either, a big war right above Egypt. You know what I mean? Of course, they're removing those people. Man, I miss Rumble. I was pumping the brakes there, but of course that's in motion. And then they can read my mind. Like, this is what they want to continue. And you've got the leader of that place speaking to Congress this evening, U.S. time, like within hours. He'll be there getting standing ovations from both parties, just talking about bullies and babies or whatever he wants to do. It's coming. But it was supposed to be time so that Trump's dead, the RNC's in a panic, the donor class picks some shill like Nikki Haley, and then Biden's out, and then run her against Kamala. Nikki becomes president. That's how it was supposed to go. Miss me, Trump's like, ha. It's like, it messed them up so bad. And boy, the retribution is just, I thought after they went after his kids, they went after his business. They said he raped somebody in Macy's. You did the porn star. I'm better at golf than you are. It's just so dumb and asinine. But he was already going to get retribution. Now you try to shoot him. I think he knows that it wasn't just Thomas Crooks. He knows. Christopher Wray's gone. That's the head of the FBI. All these people are out. And Trump needs to put some gangsters in there. And he needs to get out of that war in the North. He needs to, I can't even say, but because it's YouTube, but there's some changes that need to be made, but he needs to weaponize the FBI the way the Democrats did and go after these criminals. And I actually have a movie. It's free. Corn Pop's Revenge. We call it the Biden Crime Syndicate. I literally made a map of it, of all their business partners in China and Ukraine and everything else, that details what Chris Hines and Devin Archer and Hunter Biden and all the Bidens, all of them, his brothers, everybody, his kids, and of course the big guy. They should prosecute all of them on those crimes. Pelosi, all of the best insider trader the world has ever seen. She's a stock market genius. Like, they all need to get hammered. And I know the Republicans do some things like that too, but I don't care. I will take, I take it as a W that they start weaponizing the FBI and going after each other rather than colluding so they both act like criminals. People are like, the politicians should not do that, where, they should be above that. What are you talking about? Absolutely, they should. If they're breaking the law, you arrest them. Now, you shouldn't play party nepotism where you only arrest the opposite party, but I would rather have that than nobody gets arrested from either party. Wouldn't you? Like, just take it as half of a win. And then they'll try to get revenge when they get power. That causes them to not act that way, because there's finally going to be consequences. When you have this gentleman's agreement that we're not going after you, you don't go after us, that's the worst scenario. And they already went after him. And so if they don't shoot him, or if something doesn't happen and he makes it to November, well, he really has to make it to January to get inaugurated. He could come in swinging. And he's outlined what he wants to do. But I am worried about how bad Donald Trump is at picking people. Because last time he had all these ideas and he just surrounded himself with people who hate his guts. And it was way too late when he figured it out. But if you recall, when he was a lame duck president, that means you lose the race in November, but you don't change until January. So that time in between is called lame duck. Is when he gets rid of Bolton, he gets rid of Esper, he gets rid of these neocons. He brought in people like Colonel Doug McGregor, which I'd love to see him in the new Trump administration. Like if he picks people like that, okay, then it's not the same old. It will be. It's not everything I want. I know he's a Zionist, and I know. Trust me, I know. But he's so much better than the swamp creatures that are there now. The bureaucrats will say the donor class is totally running the show right now. Biden's vacant, and Kamala is, there's only one thing she's good at. We'll just bob her head to that. She was Montel Williams' side piece, and now she's the vice president, and she's running for. They're going to endorse her. She got the Clinton and Biden endorsement, not Obama yet, and they are going to Chicago, which is his territory, and she gets to pick VP. Imagine if she picked Big Mike, and you got Kamala, Michelle Obama, which means Barack Obama. It could get very interesting this August, and I've got to say, American elections are so much more entertaining than the rest of the world's anywhere. We have shootings. We have the guy, the old man dropping out. It's just crazy. And it's something new. And then, the leader of the Secret Service just resigning, and they're getting grilled because they did it. All these court cases, Supreme Court coming in, throwing it out. It's just been did it. It's kind of exciting. I tried to follow the British elections with Starmer, and it's just okay. The conservatives got grilled. They're essentially their clones got in power. Nothing's going to change. Immigration's going to be the same. Everything's going to be the same. Boring. Come on, guys. Blow some boats out of the water. Do something. That's a joke. To be clear. Yeah. I wonder what they're asking. I want to save time to address them.
Oh, yeah. We've got 23 comments for you to address, but I've got some things I'd like to say about what you've just said then. So you said that, he stood up and he still could have got shot.
Well, he arced up. Like he was laying down and he arced up like that. Yeah, with his back.
If there had been an extra shooter, the extra shooter wouldn't have shot Trump after the assassin was dead, because then it would have been too obvious.
Well, if your goal is to, what do they care if they know there's two shooters? They're two shooters. But yeah, he would have to know exactly, because he's dead, and then dies. How do you know he's dead unless you're right next to him? It'd be something. It seems like you would have redundancy, but I think they had full confidence at 150 yards with somebody who's been practicing ought to be able to shoot him. He was so arrogant, he tried to shoot him in the head instead of aiming center mass. That's all he had to do. If he had aimed, Trump's kind of big. He's like 6'4". He's old. He's kind of fat. Shoot him anywhere you hit him. He's dead. He's too old to survive that. But no. And there wasn't a lot of other places for the second shooter to be. Now you could have the police could do it. They could actually be in the window behind him and lie about where they were, and they could take a shot. Thing is, and they all missed. And the other thing is, we have the forensic evidence of the 4 people who were hit. 2 hurt, 1 dead, plus Trump was hit. Now that's actually 3 bullets, because the one that hit him in the ear went by and hit a person. And so then you had 2 just miss. But they don't have any others of that caliber anywhere. Of course, if it's an inside job, they can just lie and go, yeah, we only found these. You have to admit those because there's victims. So you got to get the bullets out and things, and you got to retrieve it. Now, their shell size is different than what the Secret Service was using, the jacket around the bullet. So you can know that those are from those guns, and they're all in a straight line. Now, there's all these other people around Trump in the bleachers and stuff. So if you have another shooter at another angle, he's got to miss all those people and Trump and hit what? And the thing is, if it's behind the bleachers, do you know what was in front of Trump? Like 10,000 people. There's no way you can miss them all. So there's no bullets coming from that direction unless it's going in the dirt or something. And there just is all those cell phones, everything, nobody's, look at that. Where'd that bullet come? There's none of that. It doesn't match the acoustic evidence, and it doesn't match the forensics. So, and if you have someone behind the crowd, then it's behind 10,000. Someone's going to hear a gun with 10,000 people. If you're back there in Capel, they're going to know. So I don't know where else it could be unless you just have someone very close to where Crooks was taking shots, because then they would angle the same way. But it's on a big flat white roof, and there are people looking at it because they saw Crooks, and there's no one else up there. So I don't think so.
All right, so my next question is, you talked about cleaning up the swamp. What about cleaning up the three-letter agencies? Because if you look at how many people are employed in them and go back to Bush and Clinton, headquarters of CIA is still named after George H.W. Bush. You've got between 70, 80,000 people. We did a video last night, and if people have missed it, it was called Will Joe Biden Be Disappeared? We talked about the Praetorian Guards in ancient Rome, how they came in to protect the emperor, but they started to assassinate the emperors. There's kind of so many parallels here. We've got 70 to 80,000 people embedded in these bloody three-letter agencies. Praetorian Guards got up to almost 20,000 at the peak when they were menacing the emperors and whacking them. How on earth does Trump, like this comment here, I think Trump is not grasping the depth of this. How on earth can Trump combat these people that have been embedded for decades by Clinton and Bush? Wouldn't he just have to scrap them and start from scratch? And isn't that what Kennedy said he was going to do?
Bobby Kennedy. Bobby knew what had happened to JFK. I have a good reason, and he really knew about a week before he got shot. He also knew there's nothing I can do about it unless I become president, because it goes all the way to the top. If Trump suspects that this was an inside job, he's not going to announce that. He's going to act like it was some incel. My Secret Service is awesome. They got him, whatever, because he's got to make it to January. And when he has power, then he can spin around and be like, you know what he loves? You're fired. Like, Biden never fired anybody. Trump will fire people. You're out, you're out, you're out. And God damn, he has to get rid of Christopher Wray. He has to get rid of Mayorkas. He's got to get rid of these swamp creatures. But you're completely right. We've got the NSA, the DHS, the FBI, the CIA, there's 17 different intelligence agencies, and they're all crooked. They're all crooked. If you look up the video, it's on BitChute, about that map back there, that, you know, that kind of crime. Put that word in, and then just write DHS, NSA, BIA, CIA, DIA, FBI, whatever. They're all involved with that weird stuff. You've got a bunch of war profiting pedos that run the country. It's a network of compromised positions that work through nepotism, bribery, and blackmail. And I wish I was at liberty to explain that, which we've done before. That is not YouTube friendly, unfortunately. But I will. At your house, we talked about it, and we've talked about it on Rumble before. But that is something we can't get into. But to clean the swamp, first, you got to clean up the Secret Service. I mean, that's who keeps you alive. He has his little inner core they were taking off. You got to expand that and get people you trust and get rid of these people and get rid of DEI, get rid of all that stuff. You got to get rid of the FBI director. And you've got to start prosecuting the insider trading and the war profiteering. It's blatantly obvious what they're doing. There was a gambit where they got caught and people did go to prison. Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX was taking money from Zelensky's goons and donated it to the DNC, who then used the tax money through foreign aid to go back to Ukraine. So it was just going in a circle. And it wasn't a little bit. It was like $32 billion that just got disappeared, ripped off all these people, but they were just using it like Frank Gooster and the Clinton Foundation in Haiti, in Canada, washing the money. Oh, it's foreign aid. Oh, we made these investments in this crypto thing, who are just lying and ripping everyone off, but we're going to move the money. We're going to donate to the DNC, and we're going to be the number 2 donor for the year behind Soros. Unbelievable. Tons of stuff like that is going on. And if you subpoenaed the right people or you had the right researchers, they could tell you all the names and who to go after, and you could clean it up. The problem would be, and replace it with what? Because there honestly aren't enough honest people. If you said, hey, make a cabinet, yeah, I can pick the heads. I would, okay, this person for DOD, this person should be FBI, but if you're like all the way down, I'm like, I don't know enough honest people, really. It's bad. What do you can't dip into Georgetown and stuff as some of these PR majors. It's all crooked. The swamp is so deep and nasty that you're going to have a hard time. You just need to make it so that you're constantly having your job watched. You screw up, you do something illegal or stupid, you're gone. We'll just keep replacing you. We'll fire as many people as we need to. You do it right or you're fired. Just keep that cycle going. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people are career chasers, but it would be hard. But you've got to have a proper FBI director and you've got to have a real head of Secret Service. I don't know how you fix the CIA or the IRS, I'd get rid of the IRS and replace it with happiness. All you got to do is not have foreign wars. And then you like, what are you going to get the money? Like, we're not going to spend trillions of dollars on imperial escapades for foreign country A. That's what we're going to replace it with. Cut the spending. There's so much bloat and pork that just don't waste money on those things. And then you have money. You have the richest country on earth. You have the richest corporations on earth. The money's there. You guys just wasted on Lotta Green Martin and Raytheon and these stupid wars and just this ongoing war on terror and foreign aid and all the rest of it. It's not that hard. And there's something, I don't like Trump's idea about tariffs and this and that, but whatever. Like, it's better than it is now. To deny the level of inflation under the Biden regime is insane. The Rona bucks, really, just ask anybody who's gone to the grocery store. I just saw a woman in my Telegram today. She just went to like Costco, which is discount, $310. And it was just groceries for two people. $310. It was just normal stuff. Onions, kind of whatever. Like, what the heck? This is California, though, but probably the most expensive place. But still, gas is up. And, if he's saying drill, baby, drill, I'm like, yeah. How about lifting the sanction on Iran and Venezuela and Russia? That would solve your energy crisis right there. Just stop isolating people. Have peace and trade. Buy the gas and oil instead of having a war that kills 500,000 people so far, and another one that's killed 250,000 people in between Lebanon and Egypt.
All right, I'm going through the questions. We've got almost 2,000 watching live right now, so please support Ryan's work. His link is at the top of the description box. Please like, share, and subscribe, and get this video circulating. Philip Blur wants to know, why did they ignore the people warning of potential danger?
Yeah, because he wasn't supposed to pop up on that hot roof, and he did. So they saw him, and they don't have a good excuse. I mean, it's on film, and it's not as if there's hundreds of people all yelling and you couldn't make it out. There's some people there, but they say, he's on the roof. He's got a gun. Real clear. We can hear it. They can hear it. And every witness, and it's not like I've talked to them all, but I know people in Pennsylvania. I got in, and there's interviews online. So pretty good sample. They're all saying we were just yelling at the officer. He's like looking at us, and we're saying, there's a man with a gun. He's on the roof, and they're just dirty dirt. There's no excuse. It could be they're scared, like a guy with a gun. That's above my pay grade. I'm not going to do it. Maybe he's cowardly, whatever. And they're guy, oh, I don't know. That could be. It could be they're just scared. And the reason they're ramming the fence with the truck is because they don't want to go there. They're just hoping the Secret Service will kill them before they have to deal with it, because they don't want to face down a guy with a gun. That can be some of it. But when you add it all up, and the ladder and everything else, and the rangefinder and lack of communication, all those things I just said, I think they're ignoring it on purpose. They're like, I know there's a guy on the roof. That's where he's supposed to be. And I'm supposed to be here acting like I don't see it. That's
So
just speculation, but it's informed speculation, and many people in this business agree with me.
So Blue Unicorn is wondering why the cops would power wash all the evidence from the crime scene.
Because they're in on it. I mean, I get, again, the same excuse. They're that dumb. Oh, there's blood on the roof. Yeah, leave it. Part of the crime scene. Don't touch it. There is a body cam. Some footage came out earlier today, and that's how we know one of the shooters' names. And now I have tracked down which Greg it was, but I haven't had time to do the research I want on it, but I know where to go now. But yeah, the body's sitting there on the roof and like within the day, without collecting the video evidence or anything, they're up there spraying it down. Why? That is a crime scene for potential presidential assassination. Did forensics get in there? Did CSI? No, nothing. Just nobody did their damn job, and nobody's being held responsible. And when they ask them, hey, who was in charge of that? I don't have to get back to you. It's been 10 days, lady. Now 11 days. I think the stress got to Biden. He's like, damn it, we missed. I'm out. No. The thought did cross my mind, although I thought they're going to get rid of him no matter what because he's not functional. But if he might not have known. But there is this weird moment. And this is a guy who's clearly, has health problems. They're on the phone with RFK Jr. and Trump's trying to get him to be health minister or something. And it's on speakerphone. And Trump's talking about his conversation with Biden, how Biden said, how'd you know to turn your head? And Trump's laughing like, I was just looking at the chart. It's an accident. I'm not Neo from the Matrix. What a weird question. How did you know to turn your head? And, someone has said to him, we almost got him, sir, but he turned his head. And so like that rattles around what's left in his brain, and he comes out with that sentence. That's such a strange thing to say. Why would you assume like, oh yeah, I'm there. I'm like, I'm going to dodge this bullet. JoJo Star or something. No, he just was looking at a chart. So that made him turn his head at the exact right moment. We were this close to a giant civil war. And I don't mean meeting in the field shooting. I mean, it would have been just ongoing acts of terrorism against government buildings and stuff. It would have been gross. Everyone's armed in the U.S. It's not like when they say there's a riot or a protest or an insurrection, you're like, no, it's not. They're not even shooting. That's not a real anything. It would have been so bad. We're lucky. I mean, the whole world would have changed if they'd blown Trump's head off on TV in front of all his supporters, and then that guy got killed. It would have just. You could smell the smoke from Canada. I mean, it would be bad. They missed. Well, they got his ear. And what a waste of life. A 20-year-old man, you made Trump wear a bandage and you killed an innocent person. That's all your life culminated to. I don't know why you wore braces or even bothered with anything because you didn't amount to, you're just, okay, you're washing dishes. Great. Why'd you go to school at all? You were so lacking in social skills because he wasn't dumb. He got a $500 award for math and science or something. He did graduate from high school and community college, so he's not like Kamala Harris dumb. He didn't suck his way through school. He could probably have done better than the job he had, maybe. But what happens to these people, these incels, is they get sucked into this avatar world online where they become a projection of themselves. And these are the kind of people that are very, if you're looking at metadata, susceptible for a spook to come in and groom them to be a shooter. I don't think people just lose it on SSRIs and to go shoot up a school. I think some of this stuff is coached. And another thing that would have happened, if they had killed Donald Trump on national television with the AR-15, at minimal, that gun would be banned. They killed two birds with one stone and get rid of the guns, get rid of assault rifles, get rid of Trump, and replace him with some shit like Haley. It could have been a nightmare. It would be Haley versus Kamala. Like, kiss the U.S. goodbye, because neither one of them care about it. We're lucky. You're lucky. Everybody's lucky that Trump didn't die. This is, for all his faults and as bad as he is on certain things, he is light years better than the alternative. Joe Biden is the worst president since Lincoln or Obama. Obama's pretty bad. He started Syria and Libya and had the bailouts. No, he was bad. And part of me thinks maybe he's still the president because he's doing all the same stupid Obama type stuff, and they work together. And Joe's out of it, so maybe Obama. And Obama even joked about it. I'd like to have a third term, but it's illegal. He's like, yeah, but you can still make all the decisions and have some shill just sit there and rubber stamp it. Kamala would do the same thing for you. I don't know. People, that's a good question. Who's really running the country? Because who ran Obama? From Chicago, that's all I'll say. Of a group that you're never allowed to criticize. People can figure that out.
Next question. We got from A Perspective. Crooks was considered a suspicious person nearly an hour before 6:11 p.m. shots fired. Why would no agency do anything for an hour to compromise him?
That's a great question, and that's something that Cheadle should have answered, and she didn't. Even if he's not an immediate threat, he doesn't have a gun, he's not in a sniper position, he's not on the roof yet. If you have somebody with a rangefinder, that's enough. He's not there to play golf. You should have apprehended him right there. He disappeared in the crowd. No, he didn't. What crowd? He's outside. The crowd in the outer perimeter is nothing. You can see it. There's not like they're shoulder to shoulder at a concert or something. But okay, let's say you saw him. He's suspicious. He's got this device he shouldn't have. And, where'd he go? I don't know. Then we have a suspicious person hold the president in place. That is the protocol. And if you took his picture, which they did, the 2 pictures of him minimal, I have them. Was that shared with the Secret Service? And when was it shared with the Secret Service? Because did they have it for an hour? Because that would be so bad. And if the Secret Service knew that you have a character that you cannot find, why would they allow the president to go on the stage? How many people knew, and when did they know it? All we know is we do know when they took the pictures, and we do know that they knew him for over an hour, and for half an hour it was hot. And for over almost 2 minutes, more than 90 seconds, 95 seconds, about a minute and a half. He's on film with people screaming at officers where he is, what he's doing, and that he has a gun. So that's enough. But that's the thing. The protocol is you don't have to kill him or arrest him or anything. If you have somebody and then you lose them, A, you search for him, and B, the president stays in place until this person is found. That was not done. And if it's because you're just a bunch of screw ups, okay, who screwed up? You're fired. You're reprimanded. You explain yourself. Let's see the communication logs. Did you see this guy? Did you tell the Secret Service within, seconds of finding the guy? Did you communicate that to all the fellow officers? Did it stay within a click? Did you take his picture because you're like, look, there he is. Let's leave the window now. He's going to be coming this way at this time. 6 o'clock, start going. Shimmy up. I think it was 6:06. They said 6:11. Maybe that's the time. But he started shooting at him about 7 minutes into the speech. None of the protocol was followed. And that's the problem. Is okay. We know that. We know you didn't follow. Why didn't you do? If you climbed up the roof because you were chasing him and you fell, shoot your gun in the air. Draw attention to the area. There's a guy on the roof. I couldn't get him. Bang, bang, bang. Everybody look over here. Get on your comm. Perps on the roof. Tell the snipers. That didn't happen. Like, I had one guy boost me up and I saw him. He turned his gun on me. I slipped, slope roof and all. I fell and I decided to run or whatever. Like, you just shoot your gun, dummy. And you don't have to go up on the roof to, what are you doing? I want to see who he is. He's not one of yours. That means he's the bad guy. Service, guy on the roof, blow his head off. That's all you got to do. You don't have to go up there and handcuff him or something. I don't even believe that story about the cops coming. I think, yeah, sure. No one saw that. Just your story. Everybody's looking at him. No, I don't buy the stuff on his phone either. I didn't explain that very well earlier, but the paper trail they left, it's just too, it's like what a boomer thinks a teenager thinks. And it's just, he looked at Kate Middleton. Most Americans don't even know who the hell that is. Not a bad choice. One last yank or whatever, but like he's looking at her, he looked at some porn, and he looked at Christopher Wray and Biden and Trump and Mayorkas. Right. And nothing else. And then he didn't have Meta or Twitter or anything. Mm-hmm. They need to erase all his conversations with spooks. Now there is another phone, but it's just, whatever information we get from the FBI that's been on a witch hunt for Donald Trump is BS. And everyone knows it. And that's the problem. It's just like lying about the Mexican beer. You have forever brought doubt on medicine and science, even when they are telling the truth, because you lied about a real big one so badly and then lied about the squirt that no one can trust you. And this assassination plot is so stupid, and they're not answering questions, and it's just, we missed this and missed this. And like, no one believes the prison system anymore after Jeffrey. That was such a farce. Broken bone in the neck. No one's going to believe the FBI. It's like the death of Superman. You actually killed death. We start bringing characters back to life. Now death doesn't mean anything. You lie about everything so much. Well, the FBI said, oh, the FBI. That's bigger than, the FBI. Ha ha. That's all that's going to happen now. And mass media better get in gear, because it's getting to the point where, CNN, ABC, and Fox, they said, okay, I don't care. Let's see what's on Twitter. Because these networks, all the war profiteering propaganda and all, it's all from them. They lied about Iraq. They lied about Syria. They lied about Ukraine. They lie all the time. You lied about Russia. You lied about very fine people. You lied about bloodbath. You lied about suckers and losers. You lied about the Hunter laptop. Like, you are so full of crap that no one can believe you. And so now when the FBI is like, 11 days later, we finally cracked his phone. Like, we got a story together and we tested it for holes. Okay, guy, sure. I don't, the FBI, great. Well, the opposite of whatever they said. Why aren't the communications and all the things they asked for given to Congress? And if they do have a trial, it needs to not be in D.C. So when they perjure themselves, there's actual consequences. Because D.C. is such a swamp. The judges and everything, it's worse than New York, which is about as bad as it gets for judicial system. You cannot have a fair trial in New York or D.C. if the Democrats are the perpetrators. Can't happen. And I hope there's a debate between Kamala and Trump. I hope it's on Fox and they put it in Tennessee with a live crowd, because that would be the opposite of what they did before. No crowd, Super Blue City, CNN or CBS, whatever. They're all the same. That's how it ought to do. He should make that. Hey, I'll do it, but it's going to be these conditions in somewhere like Tennessee or Arkansas or Kentucky or something like that. Was just redder than red. Live crowd. I'll tell you what, I was a little bit moved when he got up and everybody was chanting USA. I was like, dang, they love this guy. They didn't even run. They just wanted him to be okay. And I think a lot of the love for Trump is they see him as this icon of, like, they think he's so anti-swamp, and they hate the status quo so bad that they'll make a hero where there isn't one. He's not totally bad, totally good. He's just a guy. He does some dumb things. He does some great things. But they act like he can do no wrong. He's fighting. He just trusts the plan and all that. Like, no, he made some serious mistakes. But he actually did what he said he was going to do. Or tried to. He did build some of a wall. He did lower the corporate tax rate. He did scrap the Paris Accords. He did get out of TPP. He did he left NAFTA. Like, he did what he said he was going to do. And he didn't escalate any wars. And he actually is the one who arranged to pull out of Afghanistan, even though it was not executed properly by Biden. And he tried to pull out of Syria. But that was after he made several mistakes in Syria, the cruise missiles, everything. He had a learning process. He's like, what are we doing there? Let's get out of there. And they're like, okay. And they just didn't do it. He doesn't have anyone around him on his side. And he needs a proper advisor that would go and say, here's the people you should pick. He got one good one with Douglas McGregor. All right, now ask McGregor his advice. Who would you advise to be your deputy, this and that? What do you think about this person? RFK Jr., as much of a Zionist shill as he is, and his green weirdo and everything, is not a bad pick to replace, say, Fauci's position. He did write a great book on that. He is very passionate about the V word. It's so weird saying it like that, but he knows that that's a good role for him. Not bad. There are, and it puts them on your side and gets them out of the way. But like, there are some cabinet picks. There's some people that have been on my show that, like, I think if you just went down Judge Napolitano's Rolodex, some of these older guys that did it before, the Ray McGoverns, the Lawrence Wilkersons, these people, at least let them advise you on who they think ought to be in there, because they could tell you how to make a proper cabinet and who should be in these 3-letter networks. So you were kind of asking earlier, if you don't know, we know people who do, and take their advice and lean on them and get the right crew around you that can start cleaning this up. Because last time the donors picked it was Sheldon Adelson and stuff, and he ended up with people like John Bolton and Nikki Haley and Esper and Mad Dog Mattis and all these fools, and Mike Pence, who totally stabbed him in the back. That was his VP. What are you doing? Now with JD Vance, he's 39, way younger than Trump, a little young for vice president, but got a good story, comes from Ohio, kind of a swing state. There's a bunch of demographic reasons to pick him. But he's very good on the war that NATO's in. It's Ukraine. I guess we can say it. He's good on that. He wants to get out. And he said some stupid stuff about Iran and China. But I think Trump will rein him in. Let's just mouth it. Like, look, dude, don't piss off the Chinese and the Russians right now. Like, we have $30 trillion in debt. Let's fix our own backyard. We don't need to be getting into these, like Washington said, like these entangling alliances. Madison said the same thing. Go back and read Washington's farewell address, George Washington. And then look at the people we have now arguing about golf. We've fallen so far. It's like the presidents prior to the invention of television were so elegant, and like, whether you liked them or not, I don't care. If you read letters from Thomas Jefferson or Andrew Jackson or any of these guys, or VPs like John Calhoun, these were smart people, minimal. I guess Reagan wasn't dumb, but he's not Thomas Jefferson. We were here. It's like it's a republic if you can keep it. It was invented by geniuses to be run by dummies. We're so far past the dummy line. If people vote for Kamala Harris, I guess they were like, just get it over with. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but if that happens, I'm staying in Asia. I'll tell you that. I'll give up. It's unfixable at that point. I've dedicated many hours, years of my life fighting against these stupid wars in U.S. politics and all the dumb stuff. We got a big W last month with Assange getting out of jail. There's a small win in Florida for the Tate brothers, by the way. That was good to see. There have been some W's. You got Elon Musk starting to pledge to clean things up. Social media is being, the monopoly's being broken. We got Rumble, Substack, Odyssey, BitChute. They don't hold us in, the way they had it before. It was just MySpace or Facebook, and then it was just Facebook. And YouTube still has sort of a video monopoly, but it's not a monopoly, not for politics. It might be, general videos, but for politics, it's way closer than it realizes. And you got Truth Social, and you got Locals. And these things add up. And this is how you can get shows like this that can be informative and go through it and go through these maps and stuff. What for the audience sake, what Sean and I used to do, because his YouTube came after him, they shut him down, brought him back. Some of my videos were the ones that got into trouble, I guess, is we would just start on YouTube and go, and I would just say things in code, and then we'd kick it to Rumble and just let loose. Rumble doesn't care. They say almost anything. Some things shouldn't be said. You should never advocate for violence or anything like that. You know what I mean? But like, you can say anything political, it doesn't matter, which is how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to have free speech, and both our countries have free speech. But we don't. I mean, and we know from the Twitter files that they allowed these spooks in there and told, take down that guy, ban that guy, lower that algorithm, raise that one. And people were advocating violence. Barry Weiss, who used to work at the New York Times, referred to the red hat. I have one, by the way. I got my friend being funny gave this to me in Australia. Make America Great Again. That's the old one. Here you go. Screenshot it. They straight up said, get rid of Don Bonagino, get rid of Crowder, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy, kicking them off YouTube, or they would shadow ban them on Twitter. I'm convinced you're shadow banned. We have like 800,000 followers or whatever, but the range just isn't what it ought to be. They do that. They've done that in numbers of people. And unfortunately, it was almost better to be totally banned, because when you got brought back again, you had a clean slate. When you're shadow banned, you're stuck there. You'd have to make a new account to be unshadow banned. But Elon is overwhelmed to going through all this messy code stuff they left to figure out all the people who've been, their dial's been set to 1 or close to 0, So we have more to do. But we do know from the Twitter files that the government was requesting censorship on social media, which means they're afraid of us, because if we didn't matter, then they wouldn't bother.
Yeah, talking about the shadow banning, I've got 250,000 followers on Facebook, and we've got 7 people watching right now. I've got 165,000 followers on Twitter. We've got 600 watching, and we've got 1,300 watching on YouTube. So Facebook's really shadow banning us right now. Well, let me get to the next question.
Anyway. 7 or 70?
7 on Facebook.
See,
and I've got like, 250,000. I've got 250,000
you
followers.
Have 250,000 followers.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't use my name, because that my name.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Just D, right?
It's since the Jeffrey thing with Twitter. After the Jeffrey thing, I was shadow banned, but when Elon took over, I'm getting traction again. But okay, I'll get to the next question. It's from Blue Unicorn. So the shooter's parents had some connection to BlackRock a few years ago. He was in a BlackRock commercial, and the AGR building is owned by a subsidiary of BlackRock. What do you think about the BlackRock connection, Ryan?
And they're both behavioral psychologists too. Just, they did a commercial at his high school. He was one of the people. I wouldn't call him very commercial worthy with that face, but whatever. He's like, oh, he's looking at a chalkboard or something, and BlackRock. I hope everybody knows what that is. I don't know if it's true they're in that building. I'll just trust Blue Unicorn. I don't know that that's true with the glass building, but let's say they do. They own so much in the area that it's plausible. But yeah, like it is that is a weird thing. Like, really, he's in a BlackRock commercial. That kid. What are the odds?
There's always a clue. There's always a footprint.
His dad spoke today, the shooter's father. That's bad for the parents too. Like, you needed to be more involved in your son's life. Like, you knew he got picked on at school and stuff, and you knew his position. Man, just buy him a hooker or something. That's a lot of these boys need is a trip to Vegas or something. I don't know. They get so angry. They're so mad. Like, you can tell when some Spurg incel is just losing it on Telegram. And, I used to, I guess I was kind of mean to him, but I started to have a little bit of sympathy and be like, shut the fuck up and calm down. What's wrong? For real. No one really talks to them. And they just get lost in this little universe and talking to each other, and none of them have social skills. It's a real problem. Like, all these mass shooters you could profile right away. The problem is, so can the Secret Service. Oh, here's a fall guy. But yeah, I mean, like, if there's some dork or whatever at your high school, like, first of all, no one should bully anyone. Like, why? You don't have to be friends with everybody, but you can speak to somebody. Say, I never really seen that kid talk to anybody. I'll just go ask him what time it is or something. Do something. Little social interaction might be why you don't get shot. No, it's like there needs to be less focus on all this identity politics and turning men into women and women into men and all the stuff they invented, and start looking at some of these loners, because some people are just introverts and it doesn't bother them. I know that. But some people really wish they had friends and brotherhood and all that, and they don't know how to do it. They don't really teach social skills. You're supposed to just figure it out. They teach you academics in school. You're supposed to learn those social skills in preschool and kindergarten and stuff, but they don't. They're all concerned with, like, in America, it's like racial hierarchy and guilt beating and just dumb stuff. And you can clearly see some of these kids, especially some of these like lonely white boys, they've basically been told since they were old enough to talk that all the world's problems is their fault collectively, like based on biology. You killed the Indians, enslaved the Africans, you did this, you did it, which is such a canard. It is not a product of DNA that those things happen, but there's a lot of guilt, and they target people with Asperger's. A lot of the people that how can I say this, that like they get that become transformers have Asperger's, and they just beat it in their head. You're supposed to be a girl. Da, 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 da. And that school was like that. There's a very revealing conversation with some, he looks like 19 or 20-year-old kid, because he was a classmate of Crook's, saying, yeah, I remember, like, he would be on one side and everyone else on the other side, on the liberal side. Oh, that's how liberal your school is. Everybody but one kid, who apparently just hated all government or whatever, is on one side. And you've got a guidance counselor telling boys they ought to chop the dick off and become a girl and stuff. Like, this is how messed up that area is. So how do you think the police department is? Of course, they're the ones that just watch Trump supporters get beaten and assaulted and stuff. And it doesn't take a big hop, skip, and a jump to go, yeah, let them get shot. They hate him. And that's what I think happened. They abdicated their duty to a force they knew would sit on the thumbs and do nothing.
This next comment from Anne-Marie Wright ties into what you were saying then. Both Crook's parents are therapists. Do you think this is some kind of MK Ultra scenario?
You spell therapist by spelling the rapist. That's from Sean Connery and Jeopardy. The rapist. Oh, therapist. Well, I don't think his parents are in MK Ultra. And the results of MK Ultra and MK Naomi, which was like MK Ultra on children, that was part of the Finders cult, was all this Hollywood stuff like Clockwork Orange and brainwashing and whatever is less reliable than just paying somebody a bunch of money. After all that they did trying to get Manchurians and things, they figured out if you really want someone to shoot someone, give them $100,000 and they'll do it. And so they kind of scrapped a lot of that. You don't have to. I don't think his parents brainwashed their son to be a shooter. I think that the spooks profiled the area. They find these kids online from Steam, Discord, whatever, where losers hang out. And they're like, here's one. And they start talking to him. This kid was nicknamed School Shooter as a joke. Like they all joke, like, you're going to be the school shooter. Because he was that isolated and weird or whatever. And this kid fantasized about that. He apparently, if we can believe what was on his phone, he's looking up prior school shooters. That's what he's interested in right before he dies. Like this, and the one he looked up is the one whose parents got arrested too. So it's like, well, I'll show him. I'm going to use my dad's gun, just like the other guy. The other guy used his dad's gun. Not going to say his name, but the other person got a gun that was not locked. It was in a lockbox, but the combination was 000. So he just opened it, took the gun, went to school, and killed several people. This is the same thing. He took his dad's gun, and I'm willing to bet it was not locked up. I'm willing to bet he was hoping my parents go down with me. Because everything matches up. There's unfortunately, lots of school shooters to choose. He picked the only one that lived and went to jail, and his parents went to jail too for not locking up the firearm, not paying attention to their son, and da-da-da-da. They're not talking about the psychology of it, and they're not talking to psychologists about it. They're just saying, we don't know the motive. I'm like, well, have you even asked anybody that studies this field? Oh, he's looking at this, this, and this. I don't think you want to know if you're not even asking the professionals about it. That's what's so odd about this. Is how you know. Like, you guys aren't investigating this at all. The head of the Secret Service not answering questions. The cops answered the questions, but their answers made it worse. And then you know what he's looking at and stuff. You're trying to profile a motive, and you don't even have somebody in that field to tell you what that would mean, why you would look at this shooter in particular, whose parents went to jail for not locking up a gun. And then you have a guy that used his dad's gun and murdered somebody. I have a minor in psych, but like that, like it doesn't take, I don't think it takes that much. I'm just good at putting dots together, but I would like somebody who does study that to say, yeah, how does that fit that profile of someone with these conditions? No one's asking.
Just going over what you said then. So you think that there's somebody like an agent that winds these kids up online?
Oh yeah. Well, that definitely happened in Buffalo. Yeah, they had they had spooks in there. Spook is a FBI or CIA agent mostly. That's the main two. But it's, DHS, they're all corrupt, and they've all been after Trump, and they wanted him dead. They did the Kathy Griffin, who had a decapitated Trump. There were cartoons of him getting his head blown off, right at the jawline and stuff. They were, mock decapitations and things. They're calling him Hitler. And they said he's going to make a bloodbath, an existential threat. He can't win. And yet he's winning in the polls. He's winning in a landslide because Joe Biden had a bad night at the debate. They're basically begging you. The only way out is to shoot him. The only way out is to kill him. The only way out. The only way out. And one of these incels, they're not particularly political. They want the infamy of being noticed. And the reason they shoot up their school or shoot at a celebrity or whatever is because they're so pathetic and starved for attention. And a lot of them are suicidal anyway, that they want at least their death to mean something so everyone will know their name and see if I can kill more than the last guy or kill someone more important. That's why they do it. And people will blame it on guns. They'll blame it on serotonin reuptake inhibitors. which probably contributes some. They blame on all this stuff. Like, they all are the same age and predicament and loners and incels. And come on. It's never the high school quarterback acting like this. Effeminate men are dangerous. They'll tell you, it's the masculine men that run around shoving everybody. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's always the little dude that's drunk and running his mouth. It's people with no emotional control who are just feminized to the point where they might as well just give up on life. That snap. They have no social skills, no girlfriend, no nothing. That Elliot Rogers, I'm sorry I said his name, but a little Jewish kid in California that thought he was like pretty and got, why don't girls like me? My dad's rich. I have this. And it's like, because you're short and small and weird and arrogant and long listed, you got all the check marks wrong. That's why. And he went around hitting people with his car and shooting them and stuff. It's just, you can point them out. Like, go look at the mugshots of the ones that did these shootings. What do they all have in common? They're all decrepit and ugly and pathetic.
Got a comment from Grace Star. They discovered foreign encrypted numbers on his phone. Who was he talking with? Well, they tried to link him to Iran, didn't they?
Yeah. But what they found was, they said, I heard this at the RNC, they were reporting on this, and Jesse Waters questioned him. He said, what do you mean he had foreign accounts? No, he had accounts that had foreign servers. So that could be as simple as you have a Telegram app because the servers are in Russia or Dubai or whatever. That could be as simple as you use Signal to talk to people, or Proton Mail or whatever. Those are encrypted. Now, I don't think they know how the difference between a foreign server, an account on a foreign server, and a foreign account. Like, does he speak multiple languages all of a sudden too? You got a foreign account, really? And if a foreign agency was communicating with this guy, he's not going to have an account on his phone. He's not going to have a phone. They're going to use intermediaries. Like, if this is a professional, like Iranian sponsored hit or something, it's not going to go back to Iran. They're going to have an asset in the U.S. who contacts him from Virginia or Pennsylvania or whatever. It's not going to go back to Tehran. It's not going back to Mosul in Iraq or something. No agency is that dumb. Like, it. Think about it. Like, if you're grooming an asset in Pennsylvania, you go to Pennsylvania and you get a burner phone and you do it like that. So it's just, what I was saying earlier is, yeah, they use burner phones and stuff, but there were agents, cell phones that they don't talk to him on because they're meeting him in person, but you can still tell the locations of where those phones have been based on the data that every app on your phone steals your data and sells it to people. Surprise. And they can locate you if you have Google Maps. You have a history. You went here on this day, here on that day. It'll tell you. Guess what? That's all of your apps. They all can do that and sell the data. That's how they make money. And allegedly, there is some reporting, but it comes from the Heritage Foundation, which is a little Fruit Loopy with their 2025 and all that. But it doesn't mean they're wrong. They do have the resources to pull this. Anyone can buy the data. Someone near FBI offices was meeting with him multiple times in July at his workplace and then once near his house. There's also the matter of these explosives in his van. I didn't mention that. He had them in his van and apparently in his room. And like, oh, that's so professional. The device he had was out of range, and the explosives he tried to build, not so well done. And they're like, what was that for? Was he going to do diversion and then this and that? And like, no, he wanted somebody wanted to erase everything about him. They towed his car. He also had a bulletproof vest that he didn't use. They left in the van, which is weird. It's like, well, yeah, it would be a little obvious if you're walking around with a bulletproof vest. Like the crowd would stop you. Even if the police were in on it, the crowd would be like, what are you doing wearing that? So that didn't work. But he brought it all the way there. It appeared that he drove his van there, and they said he walked, but I think he rode a bike the rest of the way. He had a bike in his van because there was a bicycle at the scene. We know that from the body cam footage. It appeared like he rode a bike up there, and then he wandered around, got on the roof. He did it, but he knew exactly where to go, and it's just like, wow. And the cops just happened to go the other way, right? I've already said it, but like, it's just too much incompetence. Collusion fits better. Now, you can say, no, they're that incompetent, and that is a perfectly good argument as well. You could say, okay, maybe the cops are just that bad. But then you got to explain why the Secret Service is covering for him and not answering questions, not saying who made the decisions. Like, this is a cover up. I've seen enough of these. You know, if it looks and talks and walks like a duck, it's not a goose.
Question from Lady Ocelot. Do you even think this guy had any fear of getting caught before he took his shots because he didn't really cover up what he was doing?
I think he didn't care whether he lived. Like, this guy was a suicide mission. He just wanted to get his shots and be remembered. And it's like, good job, buddy. You basically put a bandage on his ear because that's the one you're really after, and you died. Total waste.
Question from Brandon. Was this
Oh,
the best
Biden?
thing possible for Trump and his image?
What did Brandon ask? The best for his
Was
image?
this the best thing possible for Trump and his image?
I mean, he was already winning after that debate. So this was there was no reason to risk this, but it happened to, it's good for him, but I mean, Corey died. I mean, they had one of his supporters is dead, and that's sad. And and I think psychologically this could mess him up. Like, this could cause PTSD. Trump did seem to change a bit. He's a little calmer. He seems to be back at it now, but he was shaken. But as far as the public side, who, most of us weren't being shot at and didn't go through it. Oh, there's more support for Donald Trump. People are wearing their red hats again. They're not afraid. They're like, this guy dodged a bullet. The other guy, wears the pins. And the hyena, her own staff hates her guts. The same thing happened to Reagan. Reagan was shot and bad, like, collapsed lungs, broke rib. But when Hinckley shot him, and there's a story there that I'll just, when that happened, the Secret Service had him in the car going to the hospital, tackled Hinckley, took the gun. It was bang, bang, bang. Got it. Not this stuff. But his photo op opportunity, he seemed to think when they were like, we got Hawkeye, whatever, they knew that he was dead. He was like, I want to tell them to fight because I want them to know I'm okay. Because they all stayed here even though they're shooting. They didn't run. And he wanted to be like, just the first thing that came in his head, fight, don't give up. Like, he doesn't know. But they hustled him out of there. I don't think the Secret Service should have allowed that. They said, Mr. President or whatever, like, too bad. You don't get your shoe or whatever that the woman threw off the stage. Just, we'll get that for you. Don't worry. Get off the damn stage. That's what should have happened. It's a very cool picture and cool moment. And hooray, because it turned out the way it did. But that could have gone a lot worse. If you're being shot at, you don't hang around the stage. And it doesn't matter what he says. Get him off the stage. Now, it may have been that they heard in their ear, we got him. Like, threats been neutralized. But well, what if there's another one? Like, just get him off the stage. They didn't. That's another thing I don't agree with. And, some of them were like, all right, fine, just let him do this so we can get him. They couldn't move him. It's a big guy. And he was like, I'm going to do this. And they made a human wall. They protected him on the ground, and they had him surrounded except for that front position. But nobody, like I said, could be on that side. There were 10 100,000 people going back that way. And that's who Trump's looking at when he's like this. That's who he was looking at. It's the first thing on Trump's mind is not, did I just lose my ear? How much blood? Is the people. I want them to know, like, if I die, you carry on, you go, you fight. And the first thing the people did, they're like, is Trump okay? I mean, his supporters are supporters. Biden supporters who sit in their little bubbles 6 feet apart, like, they're not going to do that. They'd run, like, and I don't know if Kamala has supporters other than one she pays. She had some high school gymnasium in Wisconsin. She's like, look at this stadium. Like, that's a basketball gym. It's not. And they all have the same sign. Oh, yeah, you put those there. Whatever, lady. She's so bad at this game. Like, all politicians lie, but some of them are good at it. Like Bill Clinton could tell you, he could get up there and be like, I am not here. And some people would believe him, like, he's smooth. Obama had that charm. He could just smile. Hey, I just made slaves in Libya, but hey, he could pull it off. He get up there, and the way he talked like a preacher, he had the cadence and stuff. He was good. Kamala, not a good talker. Not at all. Trump, speech-wise, is okay, but his grasp of theater is unmatched. He's Vince McMahon level. He knows theater. He knows the presence. He knows psychology. He's good. He exaggerates because that's just how New Yorkers are. Everything's number one, the most, the best, the whatever is. That's New York. It's everything. They just talk like that, and we know what he means. Sounds bad to everyone else. So I was the most. Yeah, everyone said it. It's okay, but his grasp of human psychology, like, he knew to pump his fist, and where he knew exactly what to do. He's like, I ain't wasting this crisis. Someone just shot me. F them. With blood on my face, I'm going to shake my fist at the sky. It's like, he wasn't that shaken. Like, someone just blew your ear off, nearly blew your head off. And he gets up, he's like, whoo! Like, oh yeah, like, this is like a mafia guy from New York dealing with real killers and tycoons, like he did with Tony Salerno and I don't want to say names, but like, he knows, and he's like, oh yeah, like, you lucky he wasn't younger, he'd be up there knifing you himself. Like, that's how he reacted to getting shot at. Those people be in the fetal position and be like, yeah, and just let the Secret Service do whatever. Not Trump. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he's whatever, and he's already outside doing rallies again. He's like, okay, and he's just like, yeah, he's already doing it. He's like, we'll do bigger, double the security. Boy, they can't do it twice. That would be, then everybody would know, like, it's too much. So yeah, he's already back. You got to respect that. Even if you hate all his policies, like, yeah, he's definitely masculine.
Regarding the Hinckley assassination attempt on Reagan, the bullet stopped an inch from his heart. I did an analysis of that last week. So viewers, if you want to check that out, I'll put the playlist for the Trump assassination videos. We've done about 4 or 5 of them so far. There's still tons of questions, Ryan. We're at 2 hours right now. Have you
ever seen the Reagan speech after the shooting when he gets back? Like, I think the shooting was in 81. Sometime in 82, this, like, a balloon went up and went pow. It sounded like a gun. And Reagan, in the middle of the speech, just goes, miss me, and then kept going.
Yeah, he
That's
jumped.
Another guy that had been shot, but he's an actor, so he's trained to just, he's like, he just rolled with it. He's like, boom, and everybody like, and he goes, miss me.
Reagan jumped 20 percentage points in the polls in popularity after that attempt. So, Ryan, like I said, we're over 2 hours right now. There's still tons of questions. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to step down at this point and get some sleep?
I both. I kind of want
to. It's your call, brother.
I was burning the candle at both ends for too long. I had like raccoon eyes and stuff. When you saw me, I was dead, and I decided after all that, like, I'm not going to sacrifice my sleep anymore. Like, I'm just going to do it, and then I've been good on it. So I will go a little bit longer, but Not doing that anymore. Like, I got a birthday in 2 days, crossing that
Oh,
mid mark, so I'm going to stick with my sleeping schedule.
all right.
And, but
You
we
you
can
let us
talk
know when
some.
you've had you let us know when you've had enough. The next question is from Tajinder Jill. Do you think Biden will step down due to health reasons and Kamala will become president before the elections? I do. I think they're going to get rid of him.
You know, it's interesting because if he did that, Sean has been
Yep.
matrixed.
Keep going. I
They
just got to
got
change
him.
my battery.
They got him. No. um, an interesting thing about that is if he, it'd be something if COVID took him out, it'd be poetic justice. But let's say there's that October surprise, or what, even next month, like right after the DNC, because they do have to choose Kamala. It's not over. They have to give her the delegates. One reason they can't back someone else is because the money that Biden has already raised, it can go to his VP. He can't just give it to whoever else. So they'd have to start all over. So they'd have to go with her. But if she were to become president because he stepped down for health, another thing that could happen is, one, they could primary someone else and she would just serve a few months, but then Kamala as president could pardon Joe and Hunter and the rest of them. He can't pardon himself. And he's definitely guilty, and Trump is going to go after him. So even if they don't even have to win, they could have her pardon them before January. And that is what a lot of people think is like, well, you got to have, what is it? The 19th is the DNC, I think. 19th of August, 2021. It's 3 days long. After they choose her, and who knows what could happen in Chicago because something else, this the way this election's gone, nobody knows. Then suddenly Biden could really have a downturn and we'd have President Kamala. She just automatically gets it. Then she gets to run as a sitting president, which will boost her some. And like I said, she's got that ability to start pardoning Hunter and the rest of them, including Joe.
Which ties into the next question from Boston Bob. What about the Clintons? Do you think Kamala will bring Hillary Clinton into a senior position?
Hillary gave her the endorsement. Hillary doesn't do anything without an exchange. So you could end right back at Secretary of State or something like that, as she did for Obama. Kerry and Clinton got to be secretaries of state. Kerry's best friends with Joe Biden, by the way, and their children work on their own criminal network together with Whitey Bulger and the rest of it. Yeah, when you see, so-and-so endorsed and so-and-so endorsed, all these things at that level are political exchanges. Like Obama has not given his endorsement yet. What else are you going to do with it? What do you want for it? You want it? What does he get? Or his wife or something? I want to be this. You get to appoint people to positions. Well, my endorsement is this. I want to be secretary such and such or whatever. So that's how that kind of works. And since, Biden endorsed her, he has to. He already chose her as VP. And it was weird as the whole thing was weird. It's like someone wrote it for him and said, just sign it. I think he's a lot worse off than they're saying. I think they've known that for a long time. Glenn Jacobs had a good point. He is the mayor of Knox County. And he was saying it's odd because after the debate, when suddenly everyone's surprised how bad the cognitive decline was, except for people who've been paying attention. Kind of shocking that it was shocking. But to the people that it was new to, they all thought, wow, how is he, Kamala? And she's like, oh, he's fine. He just had a bad night. I talk to Joe all the time. There's nothing to worry about. A few weeks later, he's bad. He can't do it. He's going to tap out. He's abdicating to me. We're going to. Well, either you knew it and lied about it, or worse, you didn't notice it the whole time. What's going on, Kamala? That's why I say she's so bad at lying. Like, you have to know down the road that that'll come out. It'll be A or B. You either lied about it was bad the whole time and you said he was fine, or you really thought he was fine when everybody else knew he wasn't. Everybody knew that. I mean, it wasn't like after that debate they suddenly discovered it, and the media knew that. They just needed Biden to win the primaries because Kamala can't, and then get rid of him. So they held on. I mean, why are you having a debate in June before the conventions? You're going to have the presidential debate without the RNCs. I mean, they picked Trump, but if I wasn't, usually it's in September, October, or, closer to November. Or August, July. No, they had it in June because they waited till the primaries were done. They had it late at night. They threw Biden under the bus. And right afterward, even on CNN, MSNBC, these super leftist groups, they're all like, that's the worst performance. Biden needs to quit. They all turned on him. Now look at the timing. It's like, oh, you just discovered he doesn't know where he is. How about when he introduced Zelensky as Putin? Or when he tried to kiss his sister or whatever, he got the wrong woman. He's been totally fried the whole time. The gaffes weren't even funny after a while. I used to collect them, and then I just thought, this is just abusive. And they're saying, don't let him answer questions. Don't let him. And you can hear Kamala and them talking to him after you did a good job, Joe. You answered all the questions. Like he's 5 years old, talking down to him like that. They knew. The media knew, and they set it up like that. They did the heel turn, forced them out, got Kamala in. Everything's going to script, and then Trump does this. You missed. And they're in a real bad spot now. There is going to be an investigation. They will grill the new head of Secret Service, and Cheadle's not off the hook because she's who was the acting head when it happened, so she can't avoid all this. The police are idiots. I mean, the police chief, some of them, they couldn't even speak proper grammar at the hearing. You're like, oh, this is what we're dealing with. Is this fake? Are you acting this dumb on purpose or what? But that's the thing. Like, they knew they were inept, and that is why they were tasked with a task they could not possibly do. And who made that decision? Cheadle and whoever the special agent in charge was, who she won't say.
So we've discussed how popular Trump is right now. So Amna's got a pertinent question here about balancing the scales. Do you think the Democrats will try to pull this type of security stunt with Kamala to call the score even or gain similar footing as Trump for voters' favor, i.e., stage something as opposed to the real something that happened with Trump? So will they stage something
it would
against
have to be
Kamala
something
to get her popularity
safer.
up?
You couldn't shoot her in the ear. You could have someone try to get her with a knife or something and they tackle it out. But like that, what happened to Trump, you stand real still. Let me shoot your ear off. That's not going to happen. They're not going to, no more shootings. It's too on the nose. I thought about that. Like, what if somebody attacked Cheadle or something and they go, see, at this point, like post 9/11, like, no, it's everyone be like, yeah, you faked it. Like, that's all that would happen. It's just too much. It's too them. I don't think that would work. What they'll do, they'll continue to lie about Trump. And we're going to learn a lot after Netanyahu's speech tonight, because that's who runs the U.S. government. So when I watch that, I'll have some good answers for you. Maybe we'll do a show when that's over.
All right. Question from Jumping Jacks. Can Ryan address Trump's RNC speech with his message to the deep state, Nessun Dorma?
I said I was just about to go, and you asked a long question. His speech went on and on. He's like, you know what? I'm going to have Hulk Hogan, and then I'm going to talk for 90 minutes, and then I'm going to do this. Like, he's, he's old, but he's not old. He doesn't. He did hint at as much as he could. He is going to drain the swamp. He wants to go after the deep state. I think he knows they tried to kill him. And even if not, it was enough. The other stuff they've done, all these trials, the impeachments, the lies, and attacking his kids and going through his wife's underwear drawer and just humiliating things, accusing him of rape. That's enough. And he knows the swamp is Christopher Wray. He knows Mike Pence stabbed him in the gut. He knows there was election fraud. During the RNC speech, he just kept saying, well, they stole it last time with mail-in votes. They told him not to say that. He's like, I'm saying that, just like in the debate with Biden, he called him Brandon. He didn't notice. But I don't know if he knows how to drain the deep state. That's the thing. He had 4 years to do that, and he picked all the wrong people. It's like I said, you need to get a solid advisor like a McGregor or something like that who could sit, like, go call up Larry Wilkerson and take advice and listen. And he'll say, at least tell you who not to get. There are people that, if I could make a fantasy list of who should go where, it could be done. And there are people who know it. And first thing I would do is ask other people who know it better than I do. And we'd sit down and we'd come up with a good list. He needs proper advisors. The best people are the ones who know their limits and say, well, I'm okay on this, but I know someone who's a lot better on this. Let's go talk to that person. Like, you need to be able to delegate, and you need to be able to pick the right people. He seemed to be like, I don't trust anybody. He just kind of went to the military and grabbed some of them, and he didn't know who to turn to. I don't think he really knew he was going to beat Hillary. I think he was prepared to concede and all, and he won. He beat her by like 1% in all the places he needed to. It was awesome. It's just this weird thing. It's like him turning in his head at the right time. He won the only way he could, and it was there. So things just seem to work out for this guy. He married supermodels. He's a billionaire. He just got all his kids are successful. Like, guy is Teflon Don. So I can't stress enough how much he needs help at picking the right people, because he can have the best intentions about getting rid of this swamp creature or that. And he knows some of the real bad ones, because when he was out of power, they all turned on him. But, he already started talking about Larry Fink for the Treasury Secretary. I'm like, oh, yes, get rid of Yellen. And then Larry Fink? Come on. This is like BlackRock and Vanguard. This is terrible. Come on, Trump. Why don't you go dig up McCain? That's how bad that is. He needs the right people. And you really just need one good advisor who can tell you who the other advisors ought to be, and then you're good. They'll tell you, no, this person's that. You want this. Here's the people. Get Thomas Massey. Get these people. Yeah. Get that, Go in and grab Dan McAdams or Ritter or any of these people that have been telling the truth the whole time. Get their advice. There are some good people, like Glenn Jacobs, who I mentioned earlier. Like, he knows. That whole Ron Paul crowd, like, dude, that is a great selection to pick from. Those people, they know what's up. You wouldn't have wars if you had that kind of advice. You wouldn't have this mess. You could start paying off the debt. You could build a brand new wall every year for what you give away to Israel. Let's call it that. You could build it every day. Every year. $5 billion. You give that away. What you've given to Ukraine, like, you could have built a wall around all of Mexico. Like, I don't know why you would. You just took $245 billion and threw it at the fireplace, because they're going to lose the war. It is not going well. Zelensky wants peace all of a sudden. He's going to end up losing Odessa if he doesn't act soon. He sees the writing on the wall. And here's the other thing. Who cares about polls? Look at the bets. Because the gamblers know. And it's Trump all day. You know that. You did trades. Like, that's gambling in a way.
Well, thank you for spending so much time, Ryan. We best let you go to bed now, hadn't we?
Hey, thanks for the happy birthday. Yep.
Yeah,
2
2 days
days.
time. Ryan's birthday. Please put a well wish in the chat, and please go over
Shared
to his
with
Twitter.
Kate Beckinsale and my twin.
Ryan's link is in the description box at the top of it. Go over to his Twitter. Check out.
Add my
go over
Twitter,
to his
guys.
website.
Yeah, add that. We've got Jeffrey maps and other things. This thing behind me. We've got some of the stuff I can't say on YouTube. Thanks, Sean. Good show. Always good to be with you. Enjoyed your books too, by the way. I read those on the plane.
Thank you. Phenomenal insight today. Everyone's just been raving about you in the chat, how thorough your research is as usual. Always on point, man, and really appreciate you spending so much time. And you have a good sleep after this, please, brother.
That's I'm going right to it. I'm getting on it. Staying on schedule.
All right.
Very
Thank you,
good,
man. You
We'll
take
do
care.
this again soon.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. Cheers, man.
Cheers. Say
Bye-bye.
hello to the
Thanks.
little one.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll put the links to the other stuff we've done on Trump Assassination in the description box after this. Thank you for watching. And Ryan's Twitter